What we call Genesis is actually called Bereshit in the Hebrew Bible. The names that we have and we're so familiar with were actually added at a later date. In the Jewish world, they would know the first 5 books of the Bible by different titles. In fact, they take the name from the first important words in the Hebrew text. And so Genesis begins, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, Bereshit, at the head of all things, Elohim, the great creator God, made the heavens and the earth. The first words of Scripture are about God acting in the beginning. Isn't it striking that the Bible does not begin with a set of proofs? It does not begin to read like some systematic theology with erudite or learned propositions, but it begins with a dynamic presentation. In the beginning, God is active. God is there. There's an incredibly influential Hebrew writer by the name of Abraham Joshua Heschel who observes on this by saying, in the Scripture we do not find any proofs for the existence of God. We only find witnesses to his existence. And as you read into the Hebrew Bible and you read the story of Israel, that indeed is their function, to live as witnesses to the reality of a God who has chosen and intruded into their lives, whose word penetrates deep within them, so that through his particular choice of that one people, he would bring a message that was ultimately for all nations, a particular choice with a universal goal. So that as we handle the Scriptures, let's remember this is not just a piece of theology. It's not an academic workbook. It's not a set of propositions. But it's a record of a people who have experienced the intrusion of God into their lives and who live as witnesses to that God. And indeed that is the challenge to those of us who are members of the New Covenant community, to live as witnesses who can be read by the world around us, so that people can see and read the reality of the intrusion of God into the lives of ordinary people who live now as witnesses to that living and dynamic God who was at work in the very beginning. And then it's not accidental to find that the 4th Gospel begins in exactly the same place, because in the beginning was the Word. And that Word that had spoke creation into being is the Word that in time became flesh and dwelt among us and gave us the reality of this God and a clear vision of his glory.